Today we're here to do a full movie breakdown and analysis of Angela and Marcus's story from the 2007 film Why Did I Get Married?
Written and directed by Heit Cheri, Why Did I Get Married tells the story of four couples as they traverse the highs and lows of marriages complicated by secrets and lies. Please note that in this video series on Why Did I Get Married, we've decided to create a separate video for each of the couples so that we can fully examine what happens in detail without the time constraints. Be sure to check out our breakdown of the other couples linked in the description. In this video, we'll focus on Angela and Marcus's relationship.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered axiomamnesia.
I can't wait to talk about this movie. But first, we want to thank all of the supporters who've helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
There are four couples, and we take a 7-day vacation anywhere in the world that we choose.
So as the movie opens, we are introduced to Dr. Patricia Agnew. She is a part of one of the four couples that the movie talks about. But she talks about how she wrote a book which was based on a study she did of her three other friend couples. And so we later find out that each year they have this Why Did I Get Married marriage retreat where they all go off together and they kind of reminisce on why did they get married, and they do constructive things to, I guess, help to understand and reinvigorate their marriages and strengthen their marriages and the communication in their marriages.
We force our spouses to talk about whatever it is that we really need to talk about.
So that's the context in which we are actually going to be introduced to Angela and Marcus.
She claims that it's a study. So is it an actual study? Because she say we do whatever it is to support one another. If it's support, then it can't be a study.
You know, I don't know. Maybe the study happened first, right?
Yeah.
and then these are still her friends. And then she's, I don't know. How do you study your friends?
Well,
maybe
you can
it's not
study
exactly
your friends.
Official. I don't know.
But if you're doing things to make your marriage go any kind of way, then you stepped out of the study realm. So you're not doing a study anymore.
Well, and then wouldn't there be some bias anyway? Just the fact that you know these people, you have these at this point in your life, lifelong relationships, because they all met, I think, in college. So, you know, you've got these long relationships and stuff together.
Well, maybe your own, because you can get the data, right? You could get what the people said and then have someone else analyze it.
I suppose.
And she just happens to be there. But if you're doing these things to affect the marriage, then maybe the study is how what you do affects the marriage. It could
maybe,
be that.
Yeah, it could be like, oh, these 5 techniques for communication, employing them, and whatever their feedback was on that. But anyway, so this is basically the study that Patricia says she's done.
It's hard to believe that a woman as educated as you are could have a friend like Angela.
And she's written this book on the study, and so she's in this lecture hall.
And Angela, she's incredibly intelligent. She studied chemistry.
And then we're introduced to Angela and Marcus.
I'm sick of dealing with your ghetto baby mama.
Do you mind?
So we are just thrown right into this interaction between Angela and Marcus, and it is partially comical because I think I have to just take this, even though it tries really hard at points to be a drama. It's like a dramedy. I mean, you know, it's like a comedy and a drama together, because Angela is full of the best one-liners in this entire movie. So we see Angela, and she's there, and she leads in with, you know, I'm tired of your ghetto baby mama, you know. And what's crazy is it's like pot, kettle, black. You know, you seem very inappropriate and, dare I say, quote, ghetto, not as a pejorative, but just as a description. On this train.
That's how she's using it, as a pejorative.
Well, that's true.
So it's very strange because the writer looks at it that way, and you know,
the writer Heit Cheri.
Yeah, and many people, right, look at it that way. If you say something is ghetto, then
it's
saying
bad.
something wrong. Yeah,
you know.
So any bad stereotypes is that?
Yeah, but she's definitely loud and boisterous. And I believe that they're the only black people on the train too.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't never seen black people on a train? You ain't never heard of the Underground Railroad?
It's like we got a ghetto Harriet Tubman.
And then the white people behind them talk about the ghetto Harriet Tubman.
Let my people go. You heard me?
Snap.
She's drunk.
Yeah, we can tell.
Bruh.
Like, where you think Harriet Tubman was from? Harriet Tubman was in fucking slavery.
But the
all
ghetto
right,
Harriet
you know,
Tubman,
like,
because she made this reference, you know, to the Underground Railroad.
so to me, it starts off with bad writing, because why is that there?
Ugh.
Even
And
though
just
someone may say that.
and just problematic type of discussions. Because the other thing is, I think we can kind of assume here that this is a gay couple who is making these comments. So like here you have a different marginalized group criticizing another marginalized group in a way that is just problematic.
And I think they're making it as class, right? Because they seem to be a little uppity. But so when they say that and talk about her, then they have this scene and it cuts to Marcus basically saying to the people next to them, you know, basically siding. Well, it sounds like he's siding with them, but they're sitting behind him. But the way it's cut, it looks like he's being a turncoat.
Well, because he's embarrassed, right? He's embarrassed. But then I would say that her behavior is embarrassing. Yeah,
exactly.
And he's like, she's drunk,
if he's siding with the ones who's talking about ghetto Harriet Tubman and stuff, then she is right that he's an embarrassment too.
You are an embarrassment, okay? And I was fine till we dropped your kids off at Keisha's house.
They both can be embarrassment.
There you go. You know, and she just goes like on this tirade and she's like, be a man and tell the baby mama to stop talking to me crazy.
Be a man and tell her to stop talking to me like she crazy.
And, you know, you're staring at her butt and stuff. And this just gives us some insight into like the biggest problem, or what appears to be like the biggest problem in their relationship, which at this point sounds like it's the baby mama and the dynamic between the three of them, right?
Yeah.
And he says to her this one line, he's like, could you chill out? Could you stop for a while? And she said, could you go to hell for a while? And I don't know, that just was one of the best.
Could you lay off of that for a while?
Could you go to hell for a while?
But he was talking about her drinking, right?
Yeah.
Because she was drinking out of a flask. So they're making it as if it's not a problem, but it's just simply a vice. Because it's something wrong with her character that she drinks. You know, so just those little things that when I watch movies and it's like, what is the filmmaker trying to convey?
Well, she is just like loud and crazy. That is basically the first impression that they clearly wanted to give you, is that she's loud and crazy. And
she drinks too much.
And that maybe the husband is actually reasonable. You know, and as we'll see how reasonable or unreasonable he is as you move on, but that she's the one who probably is the more problematic person in this relationship, is the way that it's portrayed by the movie after this scene, because this is the introduction.
I heard those little smart ass remarks you made too.
And another thing I just want to bring up is it's kind of interesting how, you know, as we're introduced to each of the couples, it's like planes, trains, and automobiles. You know, somebody's on a plane, somebody's on a train, somebody is in an automobile. And so, you know, these are the ones on the train.
The same way you close the door, can you write a check? Huh? Can you do that? Can you write a check?
So Marcus and Angela have arrived to this cabin in in the mountains where it's cold and snowy, and a couple of the couples are already there. Patricia and Gavin are already there. That's Janet Jackson's character, and
Malik Yoba.
Also Terry and Diane are there. That's Tyler Perry and Sharon Leal's characters. They are there. And by the way, I have to say, Tasha Smith is the one who does play Angela, and Michael J. White is the one who plays Marcus. So anyway, they arrive and they're arguing as they walk through the door. She's like, can you write a check? And one thing that we did find out is that he's had trouble kind of keeping a job. He is an ex-athlete or whatever. And we found that part out from Patricia as she introduced them.
Wasn't he having trouble staying employed?
Yes, but they seem to have worked something out.
You know, then they get into this whole thing, and Angela's like, you won't put hands on me, basically, because I got 5 brothers. So, you know, like they're just all over the place with it. And they're just arguing as they come in, but they're getting it, yapping at each other. But then they're like friendly with their friends when they meet them. Hey, we good. Hey, y'all. And then, of course, Angela's like, I need a drink.
I need a drink.
It's the middle of the day.
Yeah, well, then get me some Kahlua and milk.
And is complaining about the fact that, you know, their retreat this year is in a cold climate. And she's like, you know, colored folks don't get along with water in any form, talking about the snow.
How y'all know colored folks and water don't get along in any form?
Yeah, and Gavin and Terry look at each other and it's like uncomfortable sort of a way because of what's going on with them.
Y'all all right?
Hell yeah, we're fine.
Man, we good, know what I'm saying?
And isn't it really, though, uncomfortable if like people come in and they're, you know, having these domestic issues and arguing and stuff, especially in a situation where you're supposed to be, it's almost like a little bit of a vacation.
But
you know?
do they always do this? Because that would be my question.
Probably.
Then it's kind of like, yeah, this is what we get. We know this. It's always happening. But if it's always going like this, why did you get married? Well, I say you get married, but why are you still married? What is this, like the 11th year or something, she said?
Yeah, they've been together a while. So
no, I'm talking about the retreat, the 11th year of the retreat or 12th.
I don't.
She said
Did she say it?
Patricia,
I don't remember now.
Yeah, but it's a lot.
That's many years.
Yeah.
You was that smart that many years ago, Patricia, Janet Jackson.
I don't see why
that
not.
you put it all together and you knew exactly what to do. Life experience didn't play into any of this.
It don't need to be if you're a scientist.
Well, okay.
You know.
Okay. You know, which brings me to kind of like one of my little bit of beefs with Tyler Perry movies, because I will say out of all of the Tyler Perry movies, this movie is my favorite. Not part 2, but this particular one. And that's not really saying a whole lot because Tyler Perry movies, to me, leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
But I would just say that this one seemed like it was the least like Tyler Perry, but you argued that that it's typical Tyler Perry.
But one thing we do see in this this scene is Hollywood's bias against short people or average height people.
Okay.
Look at Janet Jackson. She is way shorter than everyone in the scene, because male or female, because that's who they hire, right?
Even
If you're
Sharon
gonna
Leal?
well, she's shorter than her, but yeah.
How tall is Janet Jackson? About
like
5'4"?
5'4".
Yeah.
So
wow, I'm shorter than her. That sucks in life.
Exactly. But see, if you get in the room, but Janet Jackson, and it would be like, oh well, Janet Jackson is short as there because she's in the Jackson family, so she got on back in the day. You know.
But everyone else is, the women are tall and so are the men.
And Sharon Leal is probably, I don't know, 5'6", 5'7".
At least, yeah.
Which could be considered tall, but she still would be short for, well, maybe she's like 5'5".
And Tasha Smith seems quite tall. I don't know her exact height. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
But why are all the men over 6 feet, right? Because that's what they do in Hollywood. They say
Tasha Smith is 5'7".
Maybe it's the heels.
Maybe.
No, I don't think those heels that big, but whatever.
Sharon Leal, they say, is 5'8", which is weird. Something is not right with this, because Sharon Leal does not appear taller than Tasha Smith. But,
yeah, and she's closer to the height of Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson is 5'4".
How tall is Tyler Perry?
Tyler Perry is 6'5".
Okay, so all the other guys are around 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", right? I guess if you want people to like the movie and be desirable, have all tall men, good-looking men, right? Because if you got to be tall to be good-looking and desirable, and to be successful, you got to be tall. So there's just freakish tall people.
Michael J. White is 6'1", and Malik Yoba.
Why they all look the same height?
Is 6'2".
Very
well,
strange.
in camera angles, right? You probably don't want them to have drastic height differences, but you know there is what you said, this bias toward tall people.
Yeah.
So
that's just one thing that was blaring when the scene, when they all get into the same room, you see how much shorter Janet Jackson is
than everybody.
But Jill Scott, I think, is probably short too, though.
I think, yeah, we'll see when Jill Scott shows up. Well, she won't show up in this video very much, but when we do the video on her, we'll see.
So, Marcus, y'all still at it, huh?
Yeah, she ain't never gonna change.
So the guys do check on Marcus and they like, neither one of you never gonna change, basically. And they kind of just sort of chuckle at it once the women had walked away. And notice that Marcus says his infamous line. He says, "You know what I'm saying?" And that is an indicator that we find out later that he is lying. So he's saying we are all right, but he, in his mind, doesn't believe that they're all right. He's, he's probably very exhausted by this point with her and drinking.
He says she never gonna change, and Terry says, "Well, it's both of you. It ain't just her." So that may be something.
Yep.
What's going on with you and Marcus? You just got here and you're starting already.
Angela doesn't have an appropriate answer to me, where she basically says, "We dropped the kids off at the baby mama house, and the ex, she's driving me crazy."
We argue about her. We argue about the kids, but most of it is his ex.
Why are you arguing with him if it's the problem with the ex or the baby mama?
Well, because she clearly, which is what they actually say. So for context, she says that she hates to have her daughter around his son, or basically their daughter together around the son that he has with the baby mama, because she's concerned about the things the baby mama says about her in the presence of the daughter. And she's like, I know that's the brother, but I don't like this.
I know that that's her brother, but the things that she says to my daughter about me.
And then they say, have you talked to Marcus about this so that he could talk to her? And that's the issue, is that Marcus isn't being aggressive enough in managing these relationships.
She drive me crazy. Girl, that thing be having me about to catch a case.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with being around the son, too? She's saying a bunch of just random things that don't make sense.
Well, maybe because it's the purpose, right? And it could have been explained better. So the purpose is so you can go spend time with your brother.
Yeah,
right?
I know. That's what I'm saying. But that's how a lot of people explain things and think about things, right? So maybe she is equating it with being around the son, right? Which is an affront to this man's child. Instead of saying that, oh, when when my daughter is around this woman who is talking about me, right?
I see that point.
Because if the son is with them, then the daughter is still around the son.
And that was going to be my next question. Is the only time she really gets to hang with her brother when, the girl goes over there, and
which would indicate something.
Why can't the son come to their house? To me, that would be a question I would have, like, what the heck? And so there's just so many questions that you wind up having about what this dynamic is. But we know now that they're continuing to have issues with Angela's issue is with this baby mama.
Yeah, who she calls ghetto baby mama.
Yeah. And I would say, though, now it's starting to build this idea that perhaps there is something, quote, wrong, or that Marcus is contributing to the problems by not being as aggressive. Like she said to him, be a man before, and just basically the fact that he's not managing these relationships. So, he should be intervening, telling the baby mama not to be talking crazy about his wife, because it can't be the wife saying it, because the baby mama clearly isn't going to respect the wife. So he has to manage those relationships.
Right. Because I can't think of this character the way they showed me as a reasonable character. So I don't know if it's obvious that if she just sat down and calmly talked to the baby mama, or if the baby mama is even doing it. All I see is somebody who drink too much and loud and quote unquote ghetto and crazy.
That's a good point.
So everything she's saying could just be a farce.
Well, and then the other question I have is, why is this presented like this is the new problem in their life? When the the kids are, years old, they're not brand new babies. And clearly the dynamic has been going on for a while. So like, what, to me, that is just a shortcoming of the writing, where it's like, because to me, there should have been some reference.
Yeah.
It's always the baby mama every year, and it's just getting worse and worse. They're acting like this is some new problem.
Yeah. And the thing is, so when Patricia asked her, this the answer she give. Oh, because the baby mama did this and he won't talk to her. But on the train, she was talking about looking at her ass and stuff. So that's two different, totally different things.
Well, and it's probably all mixed up there together, right? Because when you have the baby mama drama, no matter what anybody says, there's always the element that there was something clearly between your current spouse and his ex. And when it's the baby mama, you can't just cut him off, right? Because you could just say, hey, I don't want you talking to your ex anymore if you didn't have kids. But when it's the baby mama or the baby daddy, it's unrealistic for that to be the situation. When you're in an ongoing relationship, because they still have to co-parent this child. It's a thorn in her side, that he might be or possibly could be still into the baby mama in some way. And so I think that's fueling some of what's going on here too.
Because every time Marcus lies, he says, know what I'm saying?
Marcus is out there with Terry.
Man, it's good. Cutting so much hair, making like $5,000 a week, know what I'm saying?
Terry's chopping woods. They come out. Why you gotta chop the wood? While you're
'Cause you
renting
went
the
out
place,
to
or
the-
does somebody own this?
I don't know. You're renting this little, you're renting this place, but he's got to go out and chop wood because that's what you do when you're in a cabin in the mountains.
Yeah, but so he asked him how he's doing, and Marcus is like, "It's good, cutting hair, making $5,000 a week." Know what I'm saying?
He ain't making that money.
Yeah, but his face just looked like he's lying. It's a pretty good actor though.
Well, and then they have that conversation where they're talking about him possibly coming to see his goddaughter or whatever, who is the daughter of Diane and Terry. But Terry's like, well, look, don't bring her if y'all gonna be arguing like y'all arguing, because, basically don't nobody want to put up with that part of it, of their interactions, because it's the buzzkill, quite frankly.
Man, come on. We've been arguing ever since we met.
I know that, but look like it's getting worse to me. Hey.
And so he's like, oh, well, that's just how we love each other.
That's how we love each other. I like the arguing because the making up is insane.
And I think this is like one of the biggest problems with some people's relationship is they'll look at stuff that is completely dysfunctional and they'll be like, that's just how we love. That's how we show our love, in these weird dysfunctional ways where you're constantly arguing. You don't have any peace. Hey, if you like it, I love it, but I just don't want to have to be around it. That's what it sounds like Terry is saying.
Yeah.
So,
but if I'm not making this money, then you're going to have to fund this part of the study.
What you mean?
If he not balling like they portraying, right? He's doing these things and saying these certain things because he want to put off a certain image, right? They don't have the money. She's crying about a check, right? He's lying about how much money he's making. And they going out on these
extravagant trips.
Yeah.
Well, I think they do have the
Patricia paying
money.
for it?
It's just that it doesn't come through Marcus, and that's the
Right.
problem, right? That's why she's
All
like,
right.
can you write a check? That's because she's always emasculating him because he's not making the money that she's making. She owns a salon.
And when she couldn't get a job in corporate America, she took another route. She started her own hair care line.
As we'll see, and she has a hair care line and stuff. So they have money coming. They have money. It's just not money that came through Marcus's way. But Terry did observe that it looked like their arguments are getting worse.
Dang. So from what I seen them in the house, it wasn't that bad. It's bad. But you know what I'm saying? For it to be worse, then it must have been just a little bickering before.
Maybe.
Because what they actually was saying wasn't all that much. Oh, you give me Kahlua and milk. You know what I'm saying? I got 5 brothers.
Well, what I wonder is like, how many times are they going to argue over the baby mama? But then they argue about everything, nothing is right though. It's like the line that we always talk about from Superwoman. Now you say the juice is sour. It used to be so sweet.
You see the juicy sour used to be so sweet.
When things are bad, everything about you is a problem, is the way that it tends to go in these relationships, right? So he can't do nothing right. And it doesn't matter, and so he says little stuff back to her, but she says wild and crazy stuff to me. Like her mouth is just vicious.
I need you to give me a shot. I've been burning for 3 days.
So next we find out that Marcus been burning. And he asked Terry, who is a doctor, he's a pediatrician, to give him a shot. And Terry's like, well, okay. I'll call my nurse and have her overnight something and whatnot.
I'll call my nurse and have overnight something up here to us.
And so I'm like, Terry just like, okay, I guess he just gonna get some type of broad spectrum antibiotic that he know gonna knock out whatever this dude has. So then Marcus is like, well, you're not gonna ask about, what happened? And Terry's like, well, was it Angela who burned you? And he's like, no.
Was it Angela that burned you?
No, man.
Then Terry's like, well, have you slept with Angela since you've been burning? He's like, yeah. But Marcus's excuse is she's the type who doesn't ask. She just takes it.
Have you slept with her since then?
Yeah. Angela's not the type to ask for it. She take it.
Again, a little bit of the comedy, although this is like a risque bit of comedy. It's 2007. And I guess in 2007 you could say this, but like in today's world, I don't even know. Like, is this a line you could put in a movie
I think
now?
you can, because they're married, right?
They're married and it's a man. Because a woman can't be like,
yeah.
he just takes it. Because then it's going to look like The Color Purple. He just get on top of me and do his business, right? It's going to feel like that.
Yeah.
So, I guess gender does play into the acceptability of the line. But I don't know. Even in 2023, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you could have gave it to her. And you better pray to God that it's something a shot can take care of.
But Terry is emphasizing that you got to tell Angela so she can go get checked out. Like he's giving his public service announcement.
You got to tell her so she can get checked out.
See, now you trying to get me killed.
Which Tyler Perry loves to do in his movies.
Yeah, it's a very interesting predicament, right, to be in, which makes for a good twist, I guess.
Salacious.
Yeah, burning. When somebody says they're burning, this just mean like itching and have a burning sensation, sort of a thing, right? That's my guess.
Or maybe, it could mean that, or it could mean I know I have some type of STI. Presumably, maybe he's had one before, so you know what it looks like and feels like. And it could be literal burning. Or
but that was my assumption. It indicates a certain type of
infection or whatever.
That's what I always thought. I don't know. Because when I say this, because the doctor would know that it could be something that a shot can take care of or not based on what the symptoms are. But he didn't even ask.
No.
Right? So he's assuming it
Tyler
could be
Perry ain't no
a certain
doctor.
thing. But but I think it's indicated in saying I've been burning, right? So then you would know if it's something that a shot could take care of.
Mm-hmm.
At least as a general practitioner of medicine, you probably would know.
Yeah. And so he's just like, all right, I'll get something. Like basically, I think what they'll do is they'll just go, oh, okay, they may not have done tests to figure out exactly whatever the bacteria or whatever's going on is, but they just know this is going to knock out mostly everything.
Exactly. So, but he didn't ask, oh, is it bumps? Is it this? And you know what I'm saying? Because it could be something that not just a shot, but you would assume it because you assume what the signs and symptoms are.
Which is kind of like what part of his public service announcement, which is basically like, okay, but like you're endangering her health by your actions,
Since he didn't say anything, doesn't he find it strange that she didn't say anything?
Well,
or is he just hoping that it didn't get passed on?
If he had it first, then maybe he's experiencing symptoms first, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe she just hadn't experienced the symptoms.
3 days. I don't know how long it takes for some stuff to, but
percolate.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would just say that I just think women get things much easier from man to woman. And so if she ain't been burning, she gonna be burning on this trip. He might need to order 2 shots, right? Based on what we know at this point.
Because she gonna come and ask you in a few.
You gonna get asked while you on this weekend getaway.
Is that Mike? That ain't Sheila either.
So Mike shows up with some woman,
Trina,
and the guys walk up to him. He gets out of the cab and stuff. And they're like, is that Mike? Yeah, but that ain't Sheila. So then they come up and they're like, what's up, Mike?
Hey, what's happening, brother?
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Because
Marcus says what's up, right? The other two just look like Boo Boo the Fool.
Yeah, because you don't, right? Women, I know you know. What if you're new with this guy and then y'all show up somewhere and somebody asks, hey, where's your ex? Right? Because you don't know.
They do know because they know Sheila is on her way up there.
Well, you don't know exactly, right? You can assume, oh yeah, Sheila and them gonna be coming up, right? That ain't Sheila. He got a new woman. It's what it looks like. But you see, guys trying to be courteous, but then it's
explain
viewed
it.
as
You know you're gonna get
something
ate up
else.
in the comments.
Why? Okay, but
Just because
then
it's majority women.
okay,
You know how
but
it is.
I would think that a woman would understand that a guy seeing a man with a new woman wouldn't bring up the other woman, the ex,
Yeah,
because it could be the ex.
in normal situations.
Yeah.
But these are like married old friends. Ugh.
I
So
don't know if they're-
then why does Marcus feel like he need to be like, what's up?
So that this guy can tell him what's going on, right? He's like, what's up? So he could be like, oh, this is my assistant or just whatever. This is my new lady.
Explain your
whatever.
situation.
Yeah, but see, that's what a guy ain't gonna just
Bust you
is
out.
doing this to try to, be respectful of the woman. But if it's perceived the other way, then I guess it's not even worth it to even try to protect the feelings of this woman.
That's interesting. So guys will not say anything because they're trying to give an opportunity and protect the feelings of the woman. I never thought of it that way, actually. I just thought they were just like some punks for not saying anything. And the only one who showed a little bit of guts was Marcus, because he at least was like, what's up? Like, wink, wink.
If they were separated, but I guess you could always be like, oh, they knew up to today that he was married to Sheila and they were coming on a trip. But I don't assume that from this situation. And yeah, like, where's Sheila? Is what they're thinking.
Yeah, because I guess the question is, when did they last talk? How often do they normally talk in their everyday life? You're assuming she's coming. Was it just 2 weeks ago that y'all talked? Was it a week?
Right.
A lot can happen, I guess.
And that's why they were like, yeah, but that ain't Sheila. So then you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
Hey.
I see it. I just feel like, I don't know, as a woman, I probably would just be like, who is you?
Well, that's what they
and that's what the women do. So I don't feel not one iota bad about that.
Because they probably been in more communication with Sheila.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Right? And she knew that Sheila was on the way.
Ladies, hey.
Who is this?
I'm Trina.
And of course, they're like wondering where she lives. It still took the women a while to ask the question.
Yeah, get her ass out of here.
Yo, where is Sheila?
No, they walked up. Well, they were wondering where Sheila was, but the first question was, who is you? Just like I said, who is this is what we see Patricia ask. She was the one who asked.
Yeah, but she didn't ask, where is Sheila? It was a bunch of back and forth before where Sheila came from Diane.
That is true. But Mike is explaining who Trina is and that Sheila had invited her and all of this. And is that okay with y'all?
Sheila invited Trina when she found out that there was an extra bedroom. You guys cool with that?
Well, like, damn, if it wasn't okay, she here now.
Yeah. So Sheila didn't say that she was bringing a friend too. Right? So have they been in communications with Sheila?
Yeah, maybe
them?
not, And then what I thought was funny was how Angela, the other two women, Diane and Patricia, are like, I guess it's okay, right? That, Trina is coming. But Angela is like, she gonna have to come up with some money or something.
Yeah.
No. She's gonna have to come up with some money on this trip or something.
And then they have a back and forth, and Mike calls Angela the bitter one.
Angela, also known as the bitter one.
And so we see that they're kind of dynamic.
Well, can we just step back and talk about it? Because this is a portrayal of so-called, supposed to be bougie Black people, right? And I would say, based on my assessment, that some of them are bougie and some of them aspire to be bougie, but clearly are not.
Yeah.
And one thing that you're not going to find with bougie Black folks is, and let's just talk about rich folks in general or people who have money, is they're not going to be like, she got to put her money on the room. This is not a conversation that would ever be had. Even if they thinking in their head, they're not going to be like, well, where's your cut of the room? Like, it's just would be considered to be very impolite to discuss such things. And it's just funny because, Angela is constantly talking about money in this way publicly. But
To us, maybe they don't have it like it's portrayed too.
I just think that you can have money, you can get money when you didn't used to have money, and you still going to be operating in a similar mindset. You just buy more expensive things.
I don't know, because from what we see, people act like, who don't even have that much, act like they just have infinite money and don't even think about it, right? Acting as if the money will never run out, and then eventually it does. You know what I'm saying? Not being thinking about how much this is costing and stuff. You know, so I'm saying new money, supposedly, is like that.
Miser types, though, the people who are penny pinching and always doing that, you know, they're all over the place. But I don't get the feeling that this is who Angela is. I just think that Angela is from a world where people, you know, you're expected to pay your cut, and there's always going to be somebody looking for your cut, you know, as opposed to it just kind of being like it evens out over time.
Yeah, but
you know,
I think from her character, what we know is that she's doing these, I guess you could call it passive aggressive when it's really not that passive, where she is just basically picking something to try to cause more conflict with this lady, right? Obviously there's a problem because you showed up with this with Sheila's husband, so I have a problem with you, so let me, you know,
let me find the thing to make
saying,
beef a legit, a supposedly legit beef. That's a good point that I hadn't considered too. Yeah. I'm gonna find problems. So we find out that Sheila has been made to drive instead of fly. Made, he said. I
made her drive.
Mike said, I made her drive. We flew.
Oh, I made her drive. We flew.
And then he goes on to talk about her being fat as hell, and you know.
Y'all know she fat as hell.
Are you hearing what you're saying right now?
So for those of you who don't know, Sheila was asked to pay for an extra seat on the plane because she's a heavier woman. And this, you know, and we'll discuss that more when we talk about Mike and Sheila's story. But this is the thing that kind of facilitates the two of them showing up together, because it would have been the three of them had Sheila been able to fly on the flight. But Mike is like, I wasn't paying for an extra seat for her, so we made her drive.
Which is more awkward, the three of them or the two of them?
You mean showing up?
Yeah.
I think it would have been less awkward if the three of them showed up, because when Sheila is there, Sheila takes the lead with Trina. So it you know, and Trina is willing to play like she's off to the side.
Yeah,
and you know,
it's still weird.
The dynamic is very strange.
Why? We'll talk about that. In that particular video, it's just weird, y'all.
But the thing I liked also about Angela is how she did go back and forth. We asked which one of these characters was your favorite, and a lot of you said that you like Angela just because of the funny stuff she said. But I also what I do like about Angela is her directness.
Bruh,
you know,
I hate that line.
Her directness. I just like her being direct.
Yeah, that's what they say about other terrible people.
I would agree that she is problematic in a lot of ways, you know, but I like that she is a useful tool in the moments when you do need somebody to run somebody down. She is the one, because she's got all the one-liners in her trick bag. You know, and at the end of this, she's like, oh, the bitter one. Oh, she's like, no, I'm the ass kicking one.
Yeah, I'm also known as the ass kicking one.
I just like that about that. You know, she is in a world where too many people get run over by folks. She's willing to stand up and make sure that it doesn't happen.
Is Tasha Smith Rose all like this?
I feel like that. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you know of a Tasha Smith role where she wasn't some version of Angela.
She can carry it.
So they start to go into the cabin. Marcus reaches for Trina's bag. Angela comes, slaps it out his hand, and says she can carry it. So then Terry picks it up. So the thing is that Mike should have grabbed the bag, bro.
Yeah, Mike, this is your female guest that you're bringing along. Yeah, you should have carried the bag, but Mike is trifling. And then Terry, is trying to be polite.
In another situation, it's fine if he don't grab the bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this ain't the new lady. Well, it is, but it ain't. This ain't, you didn't leave Sheila. Like, this is, no, now you got to carry this bag because we aren't to show this side piece no grace.
No
Basically.
grace. Oh my gosh. Did we say side piece in this video? Honestly, I was trying not to say side piece.
People just get so mad when you say side piece, but it's a side piece. And, well, it's just what it is. Like,
yeah, it is.
Just descriptive.
Yeah, I know that some of you are sensitive about side chick, side piece.
Yeah, okay, let's call it something else.
Thereof.
Sheila's friend.
Sheila's friend,
In
aka the side piece.
In this situation, maybe it's okay to carry Sheila's bag. Sheila's friend's bag.
I just feel like, look, there's something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Something is not right with this situation. The other two women had already gone in, but what I thought was funny was Angela was like, I'm not going in till I see my man in, basically. You're not gonna, because that was part of their conversation. She's pretty. She's single. Like, you're not getting ready to just be having carte blanche flittering about, about these married men.
Yeah, Sheila. But that's for another video.
That's a whole
nother
nother conversation. But we can talk about it in the context of Angela. Angela already was like, nah, it ain't finna go down like that. She could carry her own bag. And tell me in the comments if you think she was wrong for slapping that bag out her hand. Because personally, I don't. Now, I might not have done that, but I champion somebody like Angela who actually did have the guts to do it. Because if I was in the situation, I would have wanted to do it. I don't know that I would have done that, though.
Give us a call when you get this message. We just want to know you're okay.
In the next scene, we see the ladies. The first thing they do when they get inside is call Sheila. Hey, we just trying to check on you. Of course, Sheila's phone goes straight to voicemail because she riding up through the mountains and she ain't got no reception.
A friend of hers. How come we're just meeting her?
So they're dissecting the Trina situation. They're like, she's a friend. Sheila didn't say she was coming. If she's such a good friend, why have we never heard about her? We've been her friends all this time. And if she's such a good friend, why didn't she drive with Sheila?
Yeah, another discussion for another day. But how come are they just meet? Most of the time they showed Angela as the most unreasonable, but then in this moment, it's like, oh, everyone has blinders on and it takes this type of person to see, because maybe you're a lot more skeptical if you are so-called ghetto, right? Because of, the way that you have to be protective of yourself and others.
Of everybody.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, before we get a little too crazy with this, let's find out what's going on and make sure we don't pass too much judgment.
But they're like, okay, let's just calm down and just see what she's really like. Let's not jump to a judgment.
Pass too much judgment.
Yeah. And Angela, no, I don't like her.
No, I don't like her. Good thing I brought my Vaseline and sneakers.
But she's over there with the men and stuff. I don't know how this goes. Shouldn't the woman just naturally gravitate to where the women are?
A woman who is a respectable woman would.
But there been this beef, so she has to be with the guy. So maybe there is a point where you do not take the Angela route, right? Because like they say, keep your enemies close. Now you've already put up this wall and now she's over there with the men.
Well, but okay, let's just say as the newcomer woman, if somebody's made you feel uncomfortable, nobody likes that feeling. But I think any mature enough woman is going to recognize the problems that could be caused with you sitting there batting eyelashes and making yourself the center of these women's husbands' attention. You need to take your butt on over to the kitchen and just be like, oh, I know this is how I know Sheila, and just try to make nice and smooth over and deal, and interact with the women.
But she's stuck to who she's comfortable with, this guy, which would say is that she's possibly good friends with Sheila and Mike. It's just,
Yeah, but I would go back to the whole thing. If you that good of a friend, then why don't we know about you? I ain't never heard Sheila bring you up.
It's just very outrageous for this to even be a story.
Yeah.
In a movie.
She won the award.
I would love for all of you to be there.
Of course.
You know we're there.
So next we find out, as they're all out on the porch talking, that Patricia has won an award and she invites everybody to come to this award ceremony that's going to be in Washington, D.C.
Oh, I'll be there and I'll drink to that.
You drink to nouns.
And so Angela's like, oh, I'll drink to that. And Marcus makes a snide remark regarding her drinking. And then Angela just goes in. She's like, well, one day I'm going to drink to you getting a job.
Well, maybe one day I'll drink to you getting a damn job. Yeah, hey, Marcus got a job, guys.
One day, maybe we can all drink to. And then she just like completely runs him down.
Come on, Angela, I have a job.
Marcus, you work for me.
And he's like, I have a job. And then she just breaks it down even further. You work for me.
And you wasn't saying that when I was playing pro ball.
You played 2 years of pro ball and 8 years of broke is how she describes it. And
Okay, 2 years of pro ball, 8 years of broke.
he works at her salon.
Yeah, I don't see what the problem is with that.
There isn't one.
She owns a business, so they're married. They own a business,
Mm-hmm.
and he works there, and there's some issue. So if your husband works for you, or if your wife works for you, and you pay them little wages, you complain about them not making money?
She just just uses it as a way to emasculate, because she makes it like his job is charity.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, maybe it's because he couldn't get a job anywhere else or doing something else
he
at
cut
the time.
hair, I thought.
But yeah, he's a barber.
So barbers can make money many ways, right? So I don't understand how it's that maybe he don't get any clients or something, and he still gets paid.
I don't know.
It's just that not explained well or at all, really. So I guess we'll get a little bit.
Well, and it's
later.
just about maybe who the boss is.
Yeah.
Right? She's the boss because she's the one who owned the salon first or came up with the business idea and is executing it and so on. And he's just a worker in her mind.
Yeah, I guess. But from the black salon barbershop industry, it's typically that they're all independent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you don't typically have a job in a shop.
So maybe he isn't getting many clients and he's like, just go show up there, sit and cut a few heads. Because
the way she say it though is that you work for me, like you gave him a job.
I needed a barber and you go sit
wage.
over there in case anybody comes in and needs barber services.
Exactly. Oh.
And so then we see Patricia interject her. I don't know. She gets on my nerves sometimes.
Angela, Marcus, there is such a thing as called fighting fair. You guys know this. We learned this on the last vacation.
Because she's like, oh, we guys are fighting fair. Remember the training that I gave you. And then, the other folks in the couple start chiming in. You don't press each other's buttons and you don't hit below the belt.
And when somebody says something to hurt the other person, you don't say something worse to hurt them.
And then Patricia does ask a pertinent question. What are you guys really arguing about? And that is the
He told Marcus he need to go and figure that out.
Because she don't think she got a problem. And this is where Angela is wrong, because it's you too. A lot of it is you.
Yeah.
But Angela also is busy noticing that Mike and Trina are over in the corner kikiing with one another. And, flirting and talking and drinking and whatever.
And what the hell are those two over there whispering and giggling about?
And then Patricia says, hey, we was going to just go and cook, so won't you come and join us in the kitchen? Trina just like, nah, I ain't no kitchen woman.
I'm gonna stay and hang with the boys.
Oh no, you gonna come and bring your ass in the kitchen.
I'm gonna,
I'm gonna stay out here with the
guys.
boys.
No, the hell you not. Angela was like, you gonna come in the kitchen where I can see you. And what I like about Angela is she's not holding any, anything back as far as her intent and what you're coming in here because I need to watch you, not being polite and just being like, oh, well, come on, girl, just come in the kitchen. Nah, she ain't playing with Trina like that.
Yeah.
And I do kind of appreciate that.
That's probably what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
You just go into the kitchen, even if you can't cook, because that's where the women are going to be.
Yeah.
You playing super hoe.
You should know this. Like, you old enough to know how this goes. So you're just trying to play the role of the evil vixen and it's working because they ain't going to like you if this is who you're being. But she ain't there to be like, she's just there for Mike. So then as Angela's going into the kitchen, as Trina is going in and everybody's going in, she's like, what do you think we going to let you be all around our man and do all the work?
She think we gonna leave her with our man and do all the work in the kitchen?
So here we are back at like division of labor, who's doing more work, who's paying more money. And I just really think kind of back to the whole thing, she gonna have to pay her share or put something on this room. And the fact that Trina hadn't paid as, yes, a way to pick an argument with Trina, but also the fact that Angela legit is like, I'm keeping tally of who does what. And it should all be equal.
Can they, as a group, decide that Trina should just get a cab and go away?
That's a good question.
So you know that y'all are good friends. Sheila is a good friend who erred in inviting this friend because she's still driving up and the friend is there. So we as a group gonna decide that you get in a cab and leave. And we gonna wait for Sheila.
How is that gonna go though? I love the idea.
It don't matter, Sheila.
It's like
Sheila, you fucking up. We sent that trick home. That's how it goes. And all of this is resolved.
Listen, it's like, Trina, how does this conversation go? And who has the conversation? Is it going to be Patricia that had a conversation with her? Or is it going to be Angela? It better be Patricia because Angela going to say something foul. Yeah. Patricia's like, oh, Trina, in about 15 minutes, your cab will be here.
Yeah. And if you don't leave, don't worry. We're going to call up Sheriff Troy to come and escort you out
to the motel. But the big problem is the weather was supposed to be bad. And just like we know that Sheila couldn't get up the mountain, they can't get down the mountain tonight.
It doesn't have to be tonight. They had all day when they showed up.
But you say you should have been like, hold on, cab. Yeah, but the
weather didn't get bad until she got up there.
Till later, look, she brought in the weather.
So yeah, can't they do that?
They ought to.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they could have. They could have. Now, Mike would have thrown a fit.
So you can go too.
But my question would be, how is it appropriate for any singleton third wheel to come on a trip that is a marriage retreat?
Exactly. But
a couple's retreat.
We could save that for the
ridiculous.
For the other.
Yes, we will. It's hard. It's hard to save it. It's hard to save it, y'all.
You have ruined this week for all of us, man. Every one of us.
Cheri tells Mike that you ruined this week for all of us. And Mike responds, don't blame us because you can't handle your women.
Don't blame me because y'all can't handle your women.
You know you're wrong, right?
Then they get around to asking, who is this lady?
Who is this girl?
She's sexy, ain't she?
Are you hitting that?
No, I plead the fifth.
And he basically tells them he been smashing, and they act like they didn't know.
Mike has been the man since college.
How you gonna admire him when you got your situation?
But Marcus fist bumps Mike, and he's talking about how Mike been a man since college because, Marcus is kind of doing the same thing. Mike was kind of bragging and stuff, and the one who was the only one who was really receptive of that in a positive way was Marcus.
Mm-hmm. Except the difference I see between like Marcus and Mike is that Mike is he is outwardly ridiculous. Like he will do it and say it and it is what it is, right? Whereas Marcus is more of like, I'm going to sneak around and I secretly admire you or whatever. And even when he says that to Mike, Terry is like, how you going to admire him when you got your situation? Mm-hmm. And then it comes out that Marcus is burning.
I got burned.
By Angela?
No, man. No.
Why does everybody go by Angela? Why does everybody ask if Angela is the one who burned him when like y'all should know this dude? Like, why are y'all asking that question? That's weird to me.
Well, maybe they assume that he's not stepping out.
Or maybe they suspect something about Angela that he don't see too. Because he's like, no, because I don't think he feels like Angela would step out on him at this point in the movie.
Exactly. It's just so much wrong.
Yep.
What your wife don't know won't hurt.
So basically, we see Terry getting on them about the fact that Mike is like, what your wife don't know won't hurt her. And Terry's like, hey, basically, this is the thing that has black women having the leading cases in new HIV cases, right?
That's why black women have the leading new cases of HIV in this country.
And so, he's giving his kind of PSA about that. And then Gavin agrees, like, yeah, that's true. And so Gavin and Terry confess that they have never cheated.
10 years. Not once.
10 years, no.
But Marcus asked them, well, have you thought about it? And then they're like, yeah, I thought about it, but basically nothing happened, and then they talk about how they think about the consequences of that particular action and it just isn't worth it to them, right?
But then I think about what that's going to do to her and my family, and it ain't worth it.
Marcus in this moment can't seem to take that it's obvious that he and Mike are the ones who are the cheaters. And so then he has to try to bust Terry out, and he's like, well, Terry, you ain't had sex with your wife in 3 months or whatever he said it's been.
Look at Joe's situation.
You told me Diane wasn't giving it up. You ain't had none in 3 months. Now.
He's like, you told my business, I just told yours. And I'm
But
like,
yeah.
he's so immature.
Yep, but Terry didn't tell his business. He just said your situation. And then Marcus is like, I got burned. He divulged all that.
Yeah.
So he didn't really tell.
Well, he insinuated something was going on.
Yeah, but
that would cause people to beg to know what that answer was.
I'm not begging to answer. I'm like, well, I guess they have something between them that I don't know about. And then if somebody said that and I'm in this situation, I'm thinking of them arguing back and forth how they've been this whole time.
Oh, yeah. That's
As
a good
well.
default.
Yeah, but,
Look, if your wife ain't giving you nothing, you got the legal right to get some. It's a law.
So in the next scene, we see Marcus come into the bedroom where Angela has been waiting for him.
What took you so long?
Good night. Not tonight. I got a headache.
And she's just like, what took you so long? And then, she's starting to get cozied up to him because, she wants some.
Stop.
Then Marcus is just like, oh, I need to avoid, doing stuff with her because, of course, he's burning. And so he's like, I got a headache, so he's faking this headache. And she's just like, what's going on? And, of course, he says his infamous I'm lying words.
You ain't ever turned me down.
It's been a long drive and a long day. You know what I'm saying?
And so she doesn't trust what's happening in the situation. And she's like, you ain't never turned me down. I know you lying, though, whatever it is, basically. And then, she goes to sleep. She repositions herself so that they're back to back and she is going to bed like that.
Let's just go to sleep, okay?
And, there and is obviously unsatisfied in that moment. So Angela's in the bed reading a book since she can't get none. And she hears something in the hall and she goes and looks to see what's going on. And she sees Mike sneaking into Trina's room, just tiptoeing in. And then Trina's in the shower because you can hear the shower running. And she comes back in, doesn't say anything. She just comes back in, closes the door, and it's like, he's dirty,
Dirty bastard.
This is like the last person that Mike would have wanted to know his secret.
but how come she didn't say anything?
Because she was going to use it against him later.
Yeah, but all the other situations, you got something to say. But when it matters to prevent the act, you're going to try to allow this to happen to your friend so that you can use it later against her man.
Yeah.
When you saw him sneaking and you stopped him, is there any difference in if he went through it or not?
Well, if you bust him out in the moment, he wouldn't have done it and he wouldn't have gone through
All
it.
right, exactly.
And he probably could have had deniability, at least to the women, that he wasn't up to no good with that. But
he could still deny it because just her saying it, right?
Yeah.
But this is the woman who says whatever you were saying earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it counts, she don't say nothing and closes the door. I think the writer messed up the character in that way. When she should have been one who said something because they just want to use this later in the great spin at the end. You know what I'm saying? A great conflict later on.
Well, maybe, but maybe this is her character, right? Because I think there are some things that will happen coming up also that let you know Angela is dirty too, though. Even if she feels that it's a retaliatory type of dirt that she'll fling, she will get down and get gully as well. And maybe this isn't a flaw in the writing of the character, but is an actual character flaw in terms of the person themselves, the character, right? This is one of her shortcomings. Because in this, like you said,
Yeah, but
should she have said something
yeah,
in
it's
that
like,
moment?
okay, I admire this character because, oh, she says what should be said and what people think in the moment, but then when it really comes down to it, she don't. Right? So if that's actually her character, then yeah,
then should she be admired, I guess is the question.
She's...
I like it when she does speak up when she's supposed to speak up.
but she
failed. She failed. This is one of those
because she has
situations where
another
she failed.
agenda.
Go to the
possibly.
comments. Do you guys think that Angela should have bust him out in this moment in the hallway? Or do you think she did the right thing by waiting?
And if this was your friend for many years, what do you think? Do you
That's
still
so
have the
tough.
same answer?
Yeah.
He was in there up until 2 hours ago. I'm telling Sheila as soon as she gets here.
Angela, wait a minute.
In the morning, while they're cooking breakfast, Angela is like, she was in there for 2 hours. So she's basically saying what happened to the other two women. And the other two women just basically like, don't tell Sheila, because Angela's like, I'm telling Sheila as soon as she gets here.
And then she tries to appeal to the other two women by saying, wouldn't y'all want to know if it was you were in the situation? And Diana's like, look, they might get mad. Some people don't want to know that. And
if it was one of us, we would want to know, right?
You don't know that. Sometimes people get angry at you for telling them.
Then you got Patricia, like, you don't know what her frame of mind might be. She's been depressed and all of this and that. Whereas Angela is doing the clear thing. So the thing that you mentioned that you felt she should have, interceded is what she's planning to do as soon as her friend gets there. But my question is, all right, so you're planning to do this, but like, why? Is it because it's the right thing to do? Is it because it's going to explode Mike's situation in his face and you don't like Mike? Like, what is really the motivation behind it? I like to believe the motivation is that she cares about her friend, but part of it is that she hates Mike too, I believe.
Yeah, but why would she hate Mike?
Because they just don't get along, right?
Yeah, because of how he treats her friend.
True.
Right? So...
And maybe just because how he talks crazy to her. I think in a lot of ways, they have some of the same characteristics, kind of being loud, outspoken, cutting down. Like Mike is the male version of her, right? In this particular friend group. I'm not saying they're exactly alike. I'm saying Mike is the one who throws the quips at her. She throws quips at him. They have this kind of like Martin and Pam sort of rivalry that happens between the two of them.
Now, you belong in the kitchen.
And you belong on a corner. Need a pimp?
Angela.
There is this blow up between Trina and Angela because just sort of out of nowhere, Trina is eating the breakfast, right? And says to Angela, you belong in the kitchen.
Yeah. And in her mind, it's a compliment, right? It's like, this is good. You belong in the kitchen.
That.
But... Well, maybe you're right.
It seemed like it was some shade in there. Because of how she looked and twisted her neck when she said it.
Well, you're right.
But then Angela responds with, you belong on a corner.
She do.
Oh, man.
Sure, she's fine.
Trick, was anybody talking to you?
What I love about this scene and Angela is the use of the word trick. I remember this came out in 2007 and it reintroduced the word trick into my personal vernacular. And I was like, that's really a good word, trick. And that's exactly the best word to describe Trina in this situation. But she said, trick. Was anybody talking to you? This is after their initial, interaction.
Trick?
Yeah, trick. As in slut, hoe, tramp. You don't know your name?
And then, of course, Trina raises up and Trina's like, you don't know me.
Angela, look, you don't know me, okay? Now I have tolerated you long enough.
Those are the infamous words Black folks are going to say. You don't know me. And then they just get to arguing and they go at it.
I slept great. Did you? I was like, I slept okay. She got her.
You better get her before I do.
Okay, so Sheila shows up with Sheriff Troy.
Hey, divas!
Hey.
And is basically trying to talk to him. He's single and all this.
Trina, that's Troy. I talked about you all last night. Girl, he is single.
But what happens is that Angela says something sly to Mike, right?
You know what, you got one more time to say something to her, Mike.
What is wrong with you?
And then she just basically leaves because, she's fed up.
Just such a butthole. Let me go and just,
And then they all have this exchange about, what's wrong with your wife.
What is wrong with your wife?
Marcus says, oh, it's Wednesday. And then
Wednesday. Welcome to my world.
they laugh and stuff. And they're like, oh, you so immune, you don't know.
You done got so immune to it, you don't even know.
But she has legitimate concerns because y'all all know, right? It ain't that just she knows that they were cheating. It's y'all know because they showed up together and y'all see them in the corner hugged up, basically.
Yeah, everybody except Sheriff Troy and Sheila know that Mike and Trina got it on because she told the two women that she saw them in the room together and that they were in that room up until just a couple hours ago. So they were in there all night getting it on. And then the guys knew because he told them. Y'all are acting like Angela is the one who is wrong in this situation, which is kind of funny. But I think it goes to show that people care more about the peace being held under whatever conditions than they do about rightness or wrongness in the situation.
Exactly.
Another thing I just want to point out that Mike actually calls Angela ghetto at the beginning of this interaction as well. This perception of ghetto, what is respectable, etc., is constantly being explored and tested in this movie.
Oh, now that is gorgeous, Sheila. I like that.
I don't like it.
The ladies are all now out for a shopping spree. Why they would go out on a shopping spree with Angela and Trina together, given their whole vibe, is beyond me because...
Well... They're doing this because they don't want to tell Sheila, so they're going to act like everything's okay.
So they walk by a window, and then Trina sees an outfit in the window, and she's like, oh, I like this, talking about for Sheila. And Angela is like, she's like, I don't like it. Because Angela is not going to like anything having to do with Trina, period. And so we see Sheila starting to pick up on this vibe between Angela and Trina. And Sheila's like, what's going on with that? So then they go on into the store and they're looking at different stuff and whatnot. And then we see an interaction happen between Sheila and Angela where Sheila is like, why you got to be so mean to her? Why do you have to be so mean to her? You don't even know her and stuff like that. And Angela is like, look, you don't know her.
Sheila, I don't like her.
You don't even know her.
No, you don't know her.
Angela is also about to tell her. She's just like, look, I need to just let you know what's going on, Sheila. But
all right, Sheila, honey, look, I gotta tell you something.
Angela.
The other two ladies do not let her tell what the deal is with Trina.
Yeah.
We're talking about you and Marcus.
Oh no, honey, we need to talk about you and Mike.
It's terrible because so you see how this other woman is basically being fake and everything, talking about Mike would like you in this when there's this relationship between her and Mike, right?
He's gonna love you in this. Isn't this hot?
So her saying that has other meaning than just he would like you in this. It's I know what he likes, and that's sort of a thing too. But the friends are allow Sheila. They won't allow Sheila to get upset. They allow her to get upset with Angela, but at the same time maintaining a good relationship with the woman who is sleeping with her man, right?
Not even just her man, her husband.
Yeah.
Just
so
that's
what's going on with these friends, supposed friends.
And it's tough because on the one hand they say, don't get into other people's business and stay out of their other marriages. But then this whole thing is about at least Patricia and really kind of all of them being in each other's marriages because of whatever this study and work that they're doing.
Doctor.
So, at the end of the day, wouldn't it be appropriate if you're calling each other friends to but maybe they're like, we don't want to ruin the trip. But at the end of the day, it was ruined from the point that Mike showed up with Trina and that y'all let her stay. Cause I've been thinking about what you said. Couldn't they have just called her a cab and been like, listen, I'm gonna need you to bounce. And since they didn't do that, this is the consequence. The consequence is being uncomfortable with what's about to transpire.
Yeah. But that's very strange.
So they have this blow up in the store and they're arguing in this posh, I guess somewhat high class type of store. Certainly, they're the only black people that we see around. At the end of the scene, the white worker in the store comes up to them just with no prompting, and she's like,
We don't keep cash in the store.
You just say that because
Angie.
we don't keep cash in the store. And then, you know, Angela runs after her, is about ready to whoop her butt because, you know, she's like, did she say that because we black? You know, and it's just funny that she would say this after having made like this big commotion within the store.
Yeah, I think this is something that Tyler Perry does well, right? So he's kind of taking the Bill Cosby sort of thing, right? Hey, we gonna show black prosperity and all of this and supposed success.
Mm-hmm.
But then I know that ain't my audience mostly. So I have a character like Angela in
That's
here.
relatable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the aspirational and then you have the, I guess, closer to reality sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I just got off the phone with the lab, man. You straight. Don't sleep with Angela, man, until that shot kicks in.
The doctor, Terry, tells Marcus that he needs to go ahead and tell Angela because he just got off the phone with the lab.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you straight and give it a couple days. I don't understand any of that. But he sent in labs.
I guess he probably took the kit that he had him sent probably included a swab with a real long Q-tip that he was going to stick down. Well, anyway,
Bruh.
so he took the swab and had it sent into the lab, and these are the lab results.
And he knows that what he prescribed basically
will work
for
That's
he
what I'm
got.
thinking is supposed to be the point.
Yeah. Bruh, that's just too much.
Hey, you gotta tell her.
What? I don't think so.
You know, but he continues to tell him to encourage him to tell Angela, though, so that, you know, he's like, women don't know us fast and, you know, all of this and that. And we know that Marcus has zero intentions of telling Angela.
I'm going to tell her, you know what I'm saying?
He ain't telling her that.
Couldn't you just get reinfected?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not just going to go away, I don't think.
He gonna have to crush up some pills and put it in her applesauce.
Bro, that's a whole nother thing.
I mean, I'm joking, y'all. Don't even be commenting about that in the comments. No, that is obviously not the answer. The answer is he's gonna have to confess to his wife. Like, duh.
The 80-20 rule. You're only going to get 80% of what you need. That's it.
Gavin explains the 80-20 rule. He say you got 80, you go out and you see 20 and you end up leaving the 80 for the 20 and then you realize you only got the 20 because you done left the 80.
But the problem is you're going to leave 80 thinking you're getting something better and you end up with 20.
Basically.
Yeah, that's basically it. The 80-20 rule. And at the end of all of that, Mike is just like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Marcus, don't you tell that woman.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Marcus, do not tell this woman.
So don't tell Angela that she's burning, potentially. Just keep it a secret because Mike don't get that. But of course Mike wouldn't get that. Because he got 20 right about now.
He got 100.
Well, yeah, now for this short moment in time, he has 100. Soon to be 20.
They were married for 45. Okay. People don't stay married that long no more.
So Mike and Angela go at it, right, over Trina and Troy.
I'd love to show you guys around before you leave.
Thanks. Thanks, but I can't do that.
Because they like, oh, they single people, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Please let these single people have a private moment.
Mike has a problem with Angela suggesting that those two basically go out and hang out together.
Maybe after dinner, you two could go for a ride or something.
And each of them in this moment feel like they have something that they can hold over the other one's head.
Believe me, you don't want to go down that road with me.
See, Angela, her husband has been burning, and Mike is like, I got this piece of information that I could just boom, bust out anytime I feel like it to be a dagger on you.
Oh, you must need another drink, don't you?
And you need some condoms, don't you?
And then, of course, Angela has the piece of information that Sheila doesn't know, which is that Trina and Mike are getting it on.
Yeah.
Trina ain't going nowhere with him.
Why not? Yeah, Mike, why can't this single woman go out with this single man?
And the other friends are just like, no, just drop this. We don't want y'all talking about
Let us just eat, please.
Can we just drop this, please?
I'm so agreeing with Diane right now.
They don't
talking
care.
about wasn't there a movie where basically the other person was in the house? I can't think of it. But basically,
I can't think of it right now. Yeah.
the enemy is in the walls, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is very weird. And they're just like, just drop it. She's sitting at this table and
Yeah,
smashing this
leave it
dude.
alone. Don't be confrontational. And I don't know, just at the moment where there needs to be some confrontation, right? But as we will see soon, it all does explode. But how about the fact that in response, because Sheriff Troy was talking about how his parents were married happily for 45 years. And then Angela is like, people don't stay married that long anymore. Then somebody else remarks, maybe Gavin and Patricia will. So in other words, they're like, they don't seem like they all have really any hope for their marriages. And they're like, okay, maybe Gavin and Patricia might actually stay together, but the rest of our futures are, on shaky ground.
Come on, baby, give me that drink.
No, let me get another drink so Mike can tell us why Trina can't go with Troy.
Angela drops her news because she's just basically telling Mike, why don't you tell us why Trina and Troy can't go out together, right? Why she can't go with these two single people can't go out.
Okay, let's do it.
And then Angela just breaks it. Well, the reason is because she is sleeping with your man, Sheila.
I may be a little drunk, but somebody at this table got some damn secrets.
Really?
And Sheila looks up and says, what?
The reason she can't go with this man or any other man is because she's sleeping with yours.
What? Yeah, like she's completely caught off guard. I mean, she shouldn't have been caught off guard, but she is completely caught off guard by this revelation. And, just before this happens, Marcus is trying to stop Angela from drinking because I think Angela already is bold and crazy. But then when she starts drinking, it's just she gets even more aggressive with, the stuff that she'll say and do.
I'm pretty sure he's never successfully stopped her from drinking.
He was like, come on, please stop. Because he already knows the train wreck that's coming. But the other part is he knows his own secret and he knows that Mike is going to bust it out and tell what happened.
Thanks for dinner. I should be going. I think you need to stay, man. We're going to need some law enforcement around here.
Basically gets really quiet at the table. No one says anything. And Sheriff Troy is trying to make the exit. And then Terry is just like, hey, you may need to stick around because we may need some law enforcement around here. But see, Sheriff Troy's like, I'm out of here. So the woman who he was cozying up with is basically here with another guy too at the same. He don't want to be involved.
Yeah, he's like, let me back out. Let me just, all right, holla at y'all later. And, right after this happens, Angela whispers to Sheila, she's like, I'm sorry. But then part of me, I just can't help but feel like part of this is the conquest of Angela winning in her back and forth with Mike. It's not all about my friend and all of this and that. It's just simply about Angela winning at any cost against Mike. And to me, that's kind of like not right because this was a very embarrassing way to reveal this. It could have been done more gently. It should have been done more gently.
And the people just kept saying no. At some point, you're basically here and she don't see it. He's like, no, she can't do this. Talking about Trina. At what point? Didn't you just wait till after?
I just think you should just pull, after the trip and when you saw the other girls wasn't on board, if you felt that it was right for her to know, then you should have just pulled her aside. I don't know, while people were getting ready for this dinner party or whatever, you could have done things discreetly. Like, I think she never really considered, and this is probably the alcohol also messing with her judgment. She never considered how that would affect Sheila finding out like this.
That's basically what everyone was saying the whole time, which is why they were just like, don't tell her.
Well, and then why you got to tell me something as a group? What about the public shame and that aspect of an embarrassment of a lot of the stuff that happens in relationships? Because, let's just face it. A lot of the reason people will put up with a lot of stuff, but when things start happening publicly, when everybody knows or you feel like you looking like a fool in front of other people, that's when people feel motivated to move and do what they need to do. I don't know. I just felt that there was a bit of insensitivity here, even though it was the right thing to let Sheila know what was going on.
I'm the bad guy. No, I'm not the only married person with a secret at this table.
Mike basically like, okay, I ain't the only married person at the table with a secret. And then he tells Terry's secret.
Terry, have you told your wife how you got a DNA test on your daughter?
Marcus like, hey, stop telling people secrets, Mike, because he knows it's going to eventually come back to him.
Mike, don't go telling secrets, man.
You put my secret out there. Let's put everybody's secret on the table, shall we?
But that doesn't make him stop. Mike continues because Mike is gonna go around this table now, and the people who know Mike know exactly what's coming, and even as an audience, we already know what's about to go down.
You are a low-down, dirty bastard.
Shut up.
So then it gets around to Marcus,
No, you shut up.
Marcus, please tell this woman the truth.
and Mike just basically tells Angela that Terry had to give him a shot because he has VD.
Tell this woman how Terry had to give you a shot because you had VD.
And then they have this whole back and forth.
Let's talk about condoms now, shall we, Angela?
Was it Keisha? Is what Angela asked. And
Oh, so you got VD? How long have you had it? Was it Keisha?
Marcus, believing that it was, says, yeah. And here comes Angela. No, it wasn't Keisha. It was Walter.
Huh. No, you didn't get it from her. You got it from Walter.
What are you talking about? I ain't gay.
And his first response is like, I'm not gay. And she's like, no, I slept with Walter.
No, I slept with him.
I got my shot. I was just waiting on you to say something. Boom.
I got a shot. I was just waiting for you to say something. Boom.
And she says, but I mean, like, it still is. It's so ridiculous, but yet it is hilarious in this moment, but sad when you really think about the reality of their relationship.
And he jumps up and he tries to choke her, which is...
Or he does choke her, really.
Very strange. And she jumps up and says, Troy, arrest him.
You see he's trying to kill me. Arrest him, Troy.
It's ridiculous.
Troy walked into a whole mess that he really didn't want to be involved in.
That's why I slept with her. You're so damn evil.
It culminates with Marcus saying, that's why I slept with her. You so evil.
You know what? You put your hands on the wrong one, Marcus.
I'm out of here.
Get out of here.
Moment, and he says it in this high-pitched voice and whatever. It's just like in this moment, like think about also, even though we know Marcus is very trifling for his actions, he has had the stress all day and however long he's been burning of knowing kind of what this was going to lead to. But then not only that, then not to find out that she has been cheating on him as well. And I don't think he felt like she would do that. And so this caught him off guard. I think that was the thing that sent him over the edge. Because notice every time somebody said, did the wife burn you? He's like, no. You know, like it's not even a possibility. It's nowhere on his radar is he thinking that Angela is out there creeping. And she was.
Back to the beginning where she has problems with the ex or the baby mama, right? Keisha, clearly. And she just assumed that they were doing stuff. And I guess he was right. But she assumed it. And that's why she didn't say anything.
So that the baby mama could get burned.
Probably. Or if he don't say anything, then that's your confirmation, right?
But like that's low down. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, if we call a spade, like that's low. It was low when he was refusing to tell her that he was burning. And it is low that she'd been known and hadn't said anything because you're playing with people's health, period. It's just, it's not right.
I need to see Mark.
We finally get to see the infamous baby mama. And in Angela's words, the ghetto baby mama. And I will say that you kind of have to laugh at how she walks up in this salon, which is a nice looking salon. It's kind of fancy. You know, it's not your average hole in the wall storefront salon. And she comes in there. She's demanding to see Marcus.
What the hell are you doing here? No, chick, you better get out of this building.
Now imagine why she wants to talk to Marcus. We all know why. We just saw why. And Marcus sees her walk in there. Angela sees her walk in there. Angela comes over to confront her immediately.
No, I said you better get out of this building.
What I thought was interesting was Angela put her hands on the woman like right away. You better get out of here, you know, like get out of my salon. What are you doing here kind of thing. And then we see Marcus become even a physical barrier between these two women who clearly hate each other.
What are you doing here?
Look, I need to talk to you.
And when I'm looking at them, what's funny is they remind me a lot of each other, actually, in their loudness, mannerisms.
You know what? Don't be calling me no hoe.
You know, she comes in this place of business acting loud and wild. So does Angela.
Because they're both playing a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
So that they're just going to be the same character.
They really are. But this actress played her part. I'm gonna tell you that. It was very entertaining to watch.
I know how to handle it.
You can handle all this.
Handles it. Well, Miss Crescent Curl, y'all.
So the ladies finally hear from Sheila, who calls and is giving details of her life.
Guys, Sheila's online too.
And so Angela and the other ladies are on the phone listening to the situation.
Are you okay? We've been trying to reach you.
Yeah, Mike turned my cell phone off.
In the meantime, this is all while the baby mama has shown up to the salon, and Angela is upset and, yelling at her own clients in the midst of this.
If she says one thing to me, I'm going to jail for murder.
You get the update on Sheila and find out that she stayed in that mountain town that they were in, and she's got a job at the general store.
Yeah.
I got a job in a general store.
A general store.
And it's very much about class. Mike cut off her access to the money. And she says, I got to find my own way. And you're not going to find your own way working at a general store to that level of class, right? Because they're supposed to be highfalutin, I guess you could call them.
That's what they were like,
right?
General store.
Yeah. And Patricia's like, you could come live with me.
Do you need a place to stay?
You can live with us.
You're going to stay up there in that class, right? Because of who your friends are. And but if you over here in this general store, you're not going, you're taking a hit down. And this is simply from leaving your husband or your husband leaving you.
And that happens a lot, right? This is especially to women, lesser so now that, but it can happen, but especially, decades ago, when women were relying on men to be the sole breadwinners, and maybe they, didn't have their own money, didn't have bank accounts, or even if you're only working a part-time job as compared to maybe whatever your husband is bringing in. And let's not forget about the fact that, women making 70 cents on the dollar on average recently that men make. So you're already not making as much. And then there are reasons like, childcare and childbirth and, whatever your role in the family as to why your career might not be at the same level as many of the men. But then as soon as something happens, boom, you are taking a step down. Like you cannot maintain your lifestyle at the level that it's been without the money that the man is bringing in. And, we know Mike was dirty. So, we'll talk more about this in detail, but it's just something that, can't and shouldn't be forgotten. But with Angela and Marcus, we see the flip side of that, where Angela is the one bringing in the lion's share of the money, and she's giving Marcus a hell of a hard time because of it. And let me just add one final thing, the issue of control. A lot of women have been controlled into staying into marriages, staying into situations because of the money. And many of the men who controlled them knew that this is what they were doing by controlling the purse strings. They felt like, okay, she'll stay because she won't leave because she knows she doesn't have money, or she can't get out of here. And, you're looking at having kids and that whole thing where it may be very difficult to extract yourself if you need to leave a marriage or whatever you got going with somebody who's the main breadwinner.
What the hell was she at my salon?
She had to see me.
About what?
So we see that Marcus and Angela are arguing just furiously, and they're on their way to the baby mama's house to pick up the kids.
Lay off. I'm getting sick of this.
He has the nerve to say he's getting sick of this bickering back and forth and whatever. And then she's like, well, you just go ahead and leave then. And then he's like, if you don't stop acting like you acting, then I'm going to leave. And then she's like, you ain't going nowhere because this is my money. And
you ain't going nowhere. This is my money.
You need this money. So she now has said what we all had suspected along the way, that, in her mind, it's the money. He's staying there because he needs the money. And he's like, look, I love you.
I'm with you because I love you, but you too damn stupid to see it.
I'm with you. I was with you when you didn't have nothing.
I was with you when you didn't have a dime. And I've always been there for you.
And I wasn't afraid to let you shine. And he goes off and, then he points out it was my money that started this business.
First of all, it was my money that started the damn business.
And then he has another line where he says, well, you women are so used to losing, you don't know when you've won.
It's a damn shame when you women are so used to losing, you don't realize when you've won.
And I was like, okay, a man wrote that. But still, it was the significance in this scene wasn't lost on me. That here we have Marcus, who is finally taken charge and tried to kind of get his life in order but it took for him to just be completely exhausted and spent and ready to just, pull his hair out for him to actually do this. And then he surprisingly addresses the baby mama.
So don't come by my job unless it's got something to do with the kids. We're done.
/ side piece, because that's what she was. We know he was sleeping with her. So is the baby mama / side piece.
So if it ain't got nothing to do with the kids, don't you call me.
And he puts her in her place.
This is my wife, and you are going to respect her.
And tells her, quit talking about Angela to the kids.
You better stop talking to my kids about her. Do you understand me?
And, basically admonishes both women to stop acting like they're 5 years old and whatnot. And what I thought was funny was after all of this arguing, whatever, the kids finally come out and they all fake it for the kids and act like nothing is wrong.
Get in the car. Hop on in. Okay? Put your seatbelt on. Daddy loves you.
And then Marcus puts her in the car and then he walks off. He's basically like, I got to walk home. He was so mad after all of that.
Where are you going?
So they show up to Patricia's job and they're sitting outside in the gazebo. And Patricia freaks out and she's like, oh, I thought somebody had died.
What are you two doing here? Did something happen? I thought somebody had died or something.
But they're really just there to talk about their men problems. And long story short, Patricia's like, the men are mad because you won't tell them what your real feelings are and you haven't been honest.
And I have never seen Marcus so mad at me. He went off.
So tell them how you want them to hold you at night and how you're afraid for them to leave you.
If you're not going to be honest with your husbands, then who are you going to be vulnerable with?
And then she, as a final thing, tells them to write a list of all the good and bad things that they have done and look at which side of the list is longer.
I want you to list all the bad he's ever done. I want you to list all the good he's ever done.
And she's supposed to be the expert, and that's the best she could do.
Hey.
Let's weigh the pros and cons, basically.
We were sitting there thinking of a way to kill our wives and wondering if you could help us.
Next thing we see, all the guys are at the bar and they're drinking, talking about their women woes. Marcus says, when a woman says she wants a good man, why is it that she does everything she can to drive him crazy?
She want a good man. She do everything she can to drive him crazy.
And I'm like, bro, I know you ain't talking about yourself as the good man that the woman is trying to drive crazy because you haven't been exactly a good man. Now, there have been good things about him in the sense that he he says that he let her shine. He wasn't afraid, he wasn't intimidated by her success and that sort of thing, which in turn she really did kind of beat him up for and rub it in his face. But
See?
all the, what?
He was a good man then. He
All
done
the
all that
cheating?
stuff up until a point. I don't
He
know
been
about
cheating.
since when.
Bruh, he been cheating.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. All right. Y'all, now we got to take it to the comments. Do you think that Marcus was always cheating? Because he did say after their argument, that's why I cheated because you're so evil. But so are we saying that this is really the only time he's cheating?
Yeah, because she's all right. The thing is, he done all this to support her and stuff, and that it seemed like she changed the way she act when she owned the thing and he wasn't, I guess, contributing the same way that he was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe at some point he was.
So like he was faithful up to a point. You don't think that it was just his pattern to always be cheating?
Not from what I've seen in the movie.
That's a thought that I never had, actually. I just thought that he was just kind of like the typical...
Yeah.
Just low hanging fruit.
Well,
I sleep with women and
Yeah. So like if it's the tables are turning as a woman, it's gonna be like, oh, she cheated because he started doing this. Right? But the sense as a man, then it's a little different, right? It's always this.
Well, maybe my assumption was also because you already had the two guys who were kind of the straight laces of the group that we knew, say that they didn't cheat, admitted that they were tempted at times, but that, hey, they're like the faithful guys.
Yeah,
so then the other two were the unfaithful ones. And I thought that maybe he was just always that way.
Well, you see, he was nothing like Mike, right? Mike was all outward. He was, I guess, more reserved and stuff. And he, quote, didn't stand up to himself until that one scene at Keisha's house. Right? So it's probably more they're trying to say that, oh, this is a a good character is somebody who's not like Mike, right? And a man who is not that confrontational and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because that would be the typical sort of prototype of a weak guy, right? And a not alpha, so he don't cheat and stuff. He is like this now.
Right. Okay. I mean, I
Like
guess
that's
I
not
could
his actual character, you know?
consider, right. I could consider that maybe he wasn't just the,
I can I can consider he
cheater.
cheated the whole time too.
You know, I could consider that. Like, it just is, it's a new consideration for me because in my mind, he was always a cheater. But you're right. You bring up the point of, you know, if the tables were turned and it was a woman, would I assume that? Maybe I assume that it was because of something that happened in the relationship, not that that's just how they were.
It was more so for the viewer
Yeah.
who would think that.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, all right. So maybe I definitely see some redeeming qualities about him. You know, I do like his devotion to his family and, you know, that he supported her business, that he didn't feel like he needed to just be all up and controlling every aspect of the business and all that, you know. And I felt a little sorry for him at times just because of how rough Angela was on him. She was rough. Very rough.
What's all this for?
I just thought I would cook for you.
Just let me wash my hands.
So in the next scene, we see that Angela apparently wrote her list and decided that the good side was longer than the bad side because she has cooked a nice dinner spread. It looks all gourmet and everything. And she's got it all set out and ready for him. And Marcus freaks out to the point that he's like, let me wash my hands. And he runs in the bathroom and he calls Gavin on the phone.
Marcus?
Man, she has cooked.
He is literally afraid. He is like, she ain't said one word to me since we've been back. And I've been sleeping with one eye open. And now she done cooked, you know.
She ain't said 2 words to me since we got back. I've been sleeping with one eye open and she cooked.
And Gavin sort of like laughs it off. And he's like, well, if she ain't cooking grits, it ain't nothing to worry about.
If she ain't cooking grits, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Oh, man.
And for those of you who are too young to understand the grits reference, there was a situation with Al Green involving some grits where a woman threw some hot grits on Al Green. And can you imagine? Because grits are kind of sticky. They going to stick to you. And, you know, but because of some stuff Al Green had done. So that is the hot grits reference there. And so ultimately, Gavin says, hey, look, there's nothing to worry about. Angela's not that crazy. Marcus says that he's calling because if something happened to him, that he just wants somebody to know that, you know, she cooked and like whose fault it would be or whatever.
She's trying to kill me. If something happens to me, I want y'all to know she did it.
And then he ends the call with, you know, I love you, man. Like, and it's very awkward and funny the way it goes.
I love you, man.
I love you too.
But Marcus is legitimately afraid because she did something nice.
It reminds me of what I think is the antifreeze case, where I believe it was a husband or wife. One of them was feared they were getting poisoned. They sent a note to the neighbor or something or a friend. And I think it was the wife. And then the husband was convicted of it because of that, because she basically said that, you know, this man was killing me or whatever.
If something happened to me, then look at this person.
But he won on appeal because he couldn't face his accuser, which would be the wife. So this note wasn't supposed to be used or something. It was a very interesting case if y'all into that sort of a stuff. And I don't remember the case exactly, but it's probably the antifreeze case.
Crazy stuff. But, you know, I guess if she's always mean, and then she said I cooked, like maybe because she's so busy with work all the time, I don't know if she really gets a chance to cook, you know, as a working mom and going back and forth and you got business to run, multiple businesses really, when you think about it, because she's got the hair care line plus the salon.
And what time is it? Because Gavin still looked like he's at office hours, right? Is it a day that the salon is closed, or salons closed on Monday too?
Some of them, a lot of them used to be back in the day. They'd be closed on Monday.
So 2007.
Nowadays, who knows what they doing in 2023?
So maybe it's a Monday.
You know, but
or
she
maybe
cooked for him early, and she didn't cook for him to eat with the kids either. It was just for the two of them.
Yeah, and then she's just being extra nice and stuff. I think that would be pretty odd though if she's not usually like that.
Yeah.
You haven't touched your food.
Marcus is too scared to eat his food, and he's kind of just fiddling with it. And then Angela says, "Oh, what's wrong? You haven't touched your food."
It's good. I'm just not that hungry, you know what I'm saying?
The way she said it is very creepy.
Marcus, look, I know that I haven't been the easiest woman to get along with.
So they have this whole exchange, and she talks about how life is too short, which is very scary.
And I know it's been hard for you. Life is too short.
And she just confesses, "Oh, I'm in love with you. I love you. I want to start over, just me and you, blah, blah, blah." And all the while, she's acting like a Stepford wife.
I was going to say a Stepford wife, yes.
I wouldn't eat that food, bro.
You're trying to kill me, ain't you? Just cut to it. Patricia gave you one of them mind games to play on me.
Because she didn't talk like herself or anything. Nah, man.
She was just being extra sweet. But the problem with it is that this isn't like her, right? This is her putting on the act to win her man back and to get him back. But she does admit that she hadn't been the easiest to get along with. She's going to make it a point. But,
just eat the food.
But what I thought was kind of funny was how he was like, well, if this is about Keisha, and she's like, it's not about Keisha, it's about us.
Now, if it's about Keisha, we can talk about Keisha.
It's not about her. It's about us, right?
I thought this was like a grand revelation that she realized that their relationship wasn't a threesome, right? It was literally always about the two of them, and that she was putting too much energy on this baby mama, and letting that drive her nuts and stuff like that. But he lays down some ground rules.
You gonna stop talking to me like you crazy?
Done.
He's like, all right, but you're going to stop talking to me like you crazy. We're going to stay committed to each other. And
that I am doing my best.
I know you are, Marcus.
Just know that I'm doing my best. And, I think that was probably his pain point the whole time. That even though he might not have been able to find a job, because, he was a pro athlete and then he didn't transition. Now we see in part 2 that he becomes a sportscaster. And that brings about a whole nother set of problems. But at this point, he hadn't been able to find a career after his 2 years in playing pro ball.
And I'm so sorry for making you feel like you weren't.
And Tyler Perry did a good job of capturing the view of a woman, because they didn't bring up her cheating with Walter or whoever.
Interesting.
All.
It just that just was like, oh, it was what he deserved in response for what he did, and nobody ever speaks up nobody's gonna speak about her cheating. And the final thing,
like, was that even a reason that he left? Right? It was just like, whatever, he's gone, and it ain't like, I'm not gonna be messing with my Walter no more, and I cooked.
And did that hurt? Because I would imagine it hurt, even though he was cheating, that she was sleeping around.
Yeah.
And but he does also say the final thing, which is that you're gonna have to stop drinking.
You're gonna have to stop drinking.
Okay. Wait.
And they put a funny spin on it, because she's like, okay, and then she guzzles down like a half a bottle of wine in her glass.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but let me just drink this right quick.
But as an actress, she drunk all that grape juice or whatever.
She's an actress. She's a great actress in this role. So, but this is essentially the end of this part of Marcus and Angela's story, right?
I love you, baby.
I love you too. Finish.
Because they have went through their ups and downs, and this is it, and they've made up. And at the end, see them show up for Patricia's award ceremony. But there's not a whole lot of activity that goes on between them about their relationship. So we won't cover that ceremony in this video. It'll be in a future video about one of the other couples. But this is basically the end of it. And so, now that we've gotten to the end of their story, what do you think? I mean, I think their relationship, the bigger problem of Keisha being the issue, that probably will still come and go, because, people are only on their best behavior for a short time. And then it's going to, be likely to go back to.
A part of it is that they made it seem like he straightened out Keisha and she's going to change too. And she's not going to be talking about Angela to the kids. But that's just one of those movie things where you got to have a scene where the character just be like, and this, and it resolves things. And that's kind of what those two scenes serve when they go to Keisha's house and the dinner and happily ever after, right? Until you decide to put out a part 2.
Well, yeah. And let me just say, to me, he brought a lot of the problems on himself because you cannot expect two women to like each other, two women that you're sleeping with simultaneously to like each other, especially in a situation where you got a wife and you got a sad chick for a while, whatever. You can't expect them to like, they will not like each other. They probably wouldn't like each other all that much just because of their positions. But when you got one woman who is not afraid to let you know, because you saw how Keisha was up when she came into the shop, she was like, he's handling all this, so she's letting you know she's sleeping with her man. And this is the thing that I think more men should understand is that the side chick, many of them will always let the main, your main woman know what's going on. So if you think you're getting away with something and you totally in the dark, like the Sheilas of the world really don't exist to that same level. Like it's on the radar because the woman that you sneaking around with, then let your woman know because they don't care nothing about your home relationship. They don't care about that. Keisha didn't care about that.
But I don't think they were talking.
What do you mean?
Angela and Keisha.
But the point is, she told her to her face he was handling that. That's my point. Even if she didn't know prior to that day, you had a good inkling that this woman was sleeping with your husband on the day she showed up to your salon. If none of the rest had happened, you would know. Why is she saying he's handling this?
Yeah,
duh.
Well, to just be confrontational, to get under someone's skin.
Maybe.
Like you could lie about something
Sure
if you don't like the person.
But it's going to be some questions following it, right? And I don't know
that's
how
the whole point.
You get to the bottom of it, but
right?
It's
to make her be thinking about this thing that
that
could not be true.
It could not be
That's
true.
the point, to have the questioning.
It could not be. That's possible. In this case, it was the truth. So I just think that it can be easy to overlook the contribution that Marcus had to his own situation because, okay, she might have been acting evil, whatever other reasons you had for cheating, like your expectations were unrealistic. And then you were unwilling to stand up for your wife in situations where, because it is inappropriate if this woman was talking bad about the wife to the children, like certain things are inappropriate and you just have to draw the line on them.
Yeah, but so the same way that he was talking to Angela, right? He's told her, right? But it wasn't until he blew up that it was respected, right? So maybe he did tell the baby mama. And is it unreasonable to think that that's okay, or that you need to blow up for a woman to listen to you?
Good question. I think it should have been listened to in the first place. But at the end of the day, he would have had far fewer problems with the baby mama if he kept it strictly business with her from the beginning. And which is ultimately what he wound up doing. It wasn't just that he blew up, but he also put some boundaries in place that should have already been in place. What do you really have to talk about with your baby mama if it's not about the kids? Y'all, it's inappropriate. Y'all not friends like that unless that's okay with the wife and that's how y'all want to do it. But what in this case, clearly it wasn't. It was causing issues. Why? But in addition to that, we know he was going and laying up in that. So, bruh, you created a lot of your own problems. And that's not to say Angela is perfect, because she wasn't. She had a lot of her own issues too. And I would like to know, actually, do you guys think that, and go to the comments, do you think that that more should have been addressed about Angela's cheating, or was somehow her cheating different in your minds? I don't really think it's any different. I do think it should have been addressed more. And that was a good point that it wasn't.
It was. Okay, so you did have risky cheating with Marcus, right? But she actually brought something into the relationship.
Yeah.
An infection.
She confirmed that she had an STI.
Yeah.
And didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And he
jumped
did the
on
same
him.
thing.
Right? Because
Yeah.
he's like, she the type that ain't asked. Possibly that might be true.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you brought something.
That's a good point. So then she purposely had sex with him to give it to the baby mama.
Bruh. Bruh.
This is problematic, y'all. Tell me, do y'all what do y'all think about this now? Because when you really stop and think about some of this stuff, it's like, I don't know. Because if a dude did it, we would feel completely differently, ladies. Yeah, she's problematic. She is. But thank you so much for sticking around for this long breakdown of Angela and Marcus's relationship in Why Did I Get Married? And we will be covering the other couples' relationships as well in upcoming videos. Or the video might actually be out and linked in the description right now, so you have to go and check and see.
If you made it this far into this breakdown, hit like and subscribe to this channel and type "It's Wednesday" in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around.
Thanks, and be sure to check out one of the videos on the screen right now.